So the last video was a little bit too fast, and a few people complained that it is too fast and that they couldn't see anything. And yeah, even I, the creator of that video, couldn't see anything. So this one is going to be slowed down by, I think, a half. So yeah, I hope that you can see what's going on here. Alright, so this video is going to be about retopologizing the girl. So this obviously will deal with topology, and if you have not learned the topology theory, I suggest that you watch my last video, which is the topology theory, before watching this one. So again, this is an advanced series, so I will not go into details about how I do certain things, but this series is more about decision making and the workflow rather than the technical details. If you are still new to Blender, I suggest that you find basics tutorials first. Now on my channel there is a basic series, so you can check them out, but those videos were outdated, and Blender 2.8 had quite a few changes over the last couple of months, so those videos were kind of outdated, but hopefully you can still learn something from there. So as you can see, the eyes is a hole right now, and I am making sure that the number of edges of the hole is even, and if it is not, I will make sure that it is before moving on. And the number of edges on the top lid and the lower lid are equal. And for this model I decided to use 2 triangles in the fold of the eyelids, so that I have a sharp kind of eyelid. Now throughout this video you can see that whenever I run into a hole, I count the number of edges of that particular hole before attempting to fill in that hole. Now the topology of the face is quite standard: circular loops around the eyes, mouth and nose, and the rest of the topology just follow the directions of the form features. Throughout the recording of this video, my computer for some reason just freezes every now and then, and I have no idea what happened. So you can see that sometimes the screen kind of freezes for a split of a second. This is because my computer was freezing over and over, and at some point the freezing just stopped, so I don't know what happened. I don't have a reference with me at the moment, so this is all about improvising. And you can see that I changed my mind quite a lot, and sometimes I add in a few edge loops, I mean face loops, only to then delete them. Now topology is all about deciding the directions of the loop, so it involves quite a lot of logical thinking. And if you are not familiar with logical thinking, you might find yourself a little bit dizzy after the end of the day, but don't be too worried about it. You will get used to it, and later on you will just work on the topology without any dizziness. But for the time being, there is a high likelihood that you will feel a little bit dizzy at the end of the day. My assistant who were under my training also felt the same, but she's been getting better, so I hope that you can too. Now this topology is actually quite complex, and you can see that the mesh density is very high, which is not standard. Usually artists might want to make the topology simpler, so that it's a little bit more manageable, but I plan to reuse this model for the future projects, so I needed to be very adaptive very flexible and can adapt to many different body shapes and sizes. So yeah, I need the base mesh to be a little bit more complex than standard. And if you are a beginner with topology, then I don't suggest that you make this kind of complex topology. Instead, try to reduce the number of faces. Now the ears, the eyes, nose and mouth, these are the very difficult part, so I leave them for the last. So right now I'm just preparing the holes and making sure that the number of edges of the holes are even. And by doing so, I can be certain that I can make the rest of the face without any triangles, and that I don't have to add any more or remove edges from the hole. So for this particular project, I decided to let the topology follow the directions of the muscles instead of the overall forms of the body. And in theory, this should help the mesh adaptable to many different body shapes, because everybody's anatomy is pretty much the same, just different shapes and sizes. So by having the topology follow the anatomy of the body, the mesh will be much more flexible, and it will also help with rigging and posing the characters in many different extreme poses. Okay, so my computer just froze for a very long time at this point, and I have no idea what's going on. But to my rejoice, the computer just worked again, and instead of freezing forever, so I didn't lose any progress. Now, this is also a good time to bring up the topic of saving files. Now, in the past, I lost quite a lot of progress due to the crashes of Blender, and pretty much every 3D software in general crashed a lot. So it is vital that you save your files very often, and saving the files has become my second nature. And as I work too long without saving, I tend to develop some kind of unease kind of feeling. And every time I feel this unease feeling, I just hit Ctrl S and save. So yeah, sometimes I don't even realize that I saved the files. But still, every now and then I still lost a little bit of progress due to the crashes. So yeah, always save your files and save very often. Right now the arm is just a simple cylinder, but later on, in the next series where I extend the body, I will fix the topology of the arm. Alright, it is time to finish the rest of the face, and this is going to be a hard part, but at the beginning I already count the number of edges around the holes, so I am confident that I can make it without any triangles. Then no matter what I do here, even though I have no idea what I am going to do here, I am quite confident that I can make it without any triangles, and the topology will be alright. And you can see this is where I redirect a loop from the eyes down to the nose, instead of letting it go into the middle and meet with the loops on the other side. And I am not quite happy with the topology at this point, so I decided to remove quite a little bit of it and remake the whole topology of the nose. Alright, now the topology of the nose is alright. It is time to move to the ears, and topology of the ears is actually very tough, but it is not very important. So at the end of the day, you can get away with quite a lot of triangles, but in this case I decided to not use triangles in the ears and just make it with all the quad faces. So I have no idea what I would be doing with the ears, but I am quite confident at this point that I can make it without any triangles, and the topology will look nicely. Now another difficulty of the ears is that it is in a very tight area, and usually your camera will be blocked by the base mesh. So you can see that I constantly isolate the ear and work on it, and then snap it back onto the surface. There we go. And again, I work on the ears without any snapping, then I turn back on the base mesh and snap it back in. And this way I was able to work in the tight areas without having any camera issues. The eyelids is quite tricky. There is a very thin tissue that stick to the eyes, the eyeball, and here I am making that tissue. The inside of the mouth is going to be quite difficult, but I practiced quite a lot with it, so it's not difficult for me anymore. But you can see that at the very corner of the mouth, the faces, the edges kind of cross through each other, and it is very hard to see which is which. and unfortunately there is no special technique to solve this problem. You just have to practice a lot to work it out. So the topology is now done, and the mesh might have quite a few flaws in it, but at this point I have no idea, and I will be using this mesh for many different projects in the future, including commissions as well as original artworks. And if there are any flaws in the mesh, I will correct them the next time I build another base mesh. But for the time being, this is the one that I will be using. And yeah, that's it for this video. The next one will be about using this mesh to create the picture, and I'll see you next time.